Good morning, Representative Cordelli and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Rick Ladd. I'm representative from Haverhill, New Hampshire, not the Massachusetts, and representing a number of communities around Haverhill as well. Today, I'm here to introduce the bill which we have before you, 349. This bill deals with Bridgewater, Hebron, and Groton, and discusses the possibility of a school district that would be formed. I'm not going to take a whole lot of time in this presentation, seeing I know we have a crowd behind me that's probably most likely wanting to talk on this particular bill. However, I did hand out to you one sheet that I want you to be aware of, that back in 1997, this legislature provided, and I'll read that language that's on that front page there. I don't have the whole statute copied for you, but allows the establishment of a special village district for the towns of Hebron and Bridgewater to construct, own, and maintain a public school facility. So it was this legislature that approved this particular community to have a village school. However, the legislature never authorized that particular community to be a school district. The village now has constructed, does maintain, and has a facility for elementary students. It's a beautiful facility. Good property around it, safe, secure, modern, the ability to add on to it if necessary. But at current time, I don't think that's necessary. But if we extend it to a middle school, it would probably need some additional classrooms, which it's already built into that current facility how to add on and tag off the structure and infrastructure within the building. So looking at this school, that district that's possibly would happen here, there's a number of questions which we want to look at. What does this bill do? It provides Bridgewater, Hebron, and Groton that already have a school owned by the Bridgewater Village District. And by the way, that whole building is leased to the Newfound School District for $1 a year. And the responsibility for maintaining that building is that of Bridgewater, not Newfound. And so the citizens of Bridgewater and Hebron are really maintaining and operating that building at their own expense, not that of the expense of the school district. How does the creation of a new school district take place? Well, this bill stipulates that gives the towns up to 4 years in which to study and plan for the potential of creating a new school district. It's not something by passing this bill, something automatically happens. How will children be educated? Well, the students are currently educated in the elementary school for the elementary grades, and then they go to the Newfound School District for the middle school and the high school years. The intent of where the end zone for this particular bill would be is that the high school students, upon coming out of a middle school in Bridgewater and a elementary school, would then be tuitioned either to Newfound, and that would be negotiated, or tuition to another school that's nearby, just a few short miles up the road, might be Plymouth. Going down, what are the benefits of creating this new school district? Well, it's basically going to give local control to that local facility. The new school district also presents revenue opportunities to the Newfound area school district. If Newfound is willing to enter into a fair tuition agreement, it will have the benefit of a revenue stream that will allow it to move forward with its desired capital projects and needs that they may foresee using that tuition money that comes out of the possibly of a new formed district. By the way, this is a highly unusual situation in our state. I believe the only one in the state where the village school is owned by the village, not the cooperative or not the school administrative unit. It's owned by the village. What problems does this bill solve? It allows a greater local focus on educational quality. And I believe this is the whole intent of the bill. The intent of the bill is to have achievement and growth of the students, the way those people in that community are looking to see that occur. By right-sizing the two resulting school districts, if this occurs, it allows for an equitable apportionment of district operating costs in both districts. It potentially will strengthen the newfound area school district by allowing for tuition revenue as a potential offset to taxes incurred by the remaining towns. Does this bill mean that we are withdrawn from the newfound area school district? We meaning the Bridgewater and Hebron and Groton? No. The bill authorizes a unique opportunity for the three towns to vote to create a school district. There's a long process spelled out in this legislation which would afford this process to begin. Won't this bill require that we hire new administration? Not necessarily. Other school districts have successfully negotiated contracts with a neighboring SAU to provide superintendent services. If you also look in statute, there's another area within statute which allows them to have a principal/administrator take on the responsibilities of the superintendent. That's current statutory law. Is this bill detrimental to other cooperative school districts? No. This bill deals with a very unique set of facts where the students who comprise the district will be educated in a school that is already owned by the 2 or 3 towns through the Bridgewater Hebron Village District. No other towns in New Hampshire have such a situation, and this bill does not apply to any other cooperative school districts. This bill has nothing to do with cooperative disillusionment, has nothing to do with apportionment as far as how many votes one's district has versus another district in the cooperative. It has nothing to do with all that statutory references and issues we've discussed in the past. This is a unique bill associated with that particular village district, and it has nothing to do with tearing apart or trying to shred our concept and structure of cooperative school districts. I won't talk anymore because we have a boatload of people behind me that want to talk about this. And I would be willing to take questions, but I prefer that if you're looking for issues such as financial costs, bonding, all that, transportation, et cetera, you can ask those people that are following up behind me. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, Representative Woodcock?
Thank you, Mr. Cordell. Chairman, thank you for taking this. Just two parts, Rick. In the legislation, you're talking about the 3 towns. In the piece that you gave us as the handle, only talked about the 2. Is there any? How does Groton get in here in this?
I think that's a good question. The Groton it's very small. And yes, you're right. Hebron and Bridgewater are the folks that were spelled out in that legislation back in '97. Groton is a community which would be there, and the Groton's relationship with Bridgewater and Hebron, you should be asked to the folks which are coming up. There's some knowledgeable people that are on the select boards, school, etc., sitting behind me.
And just follow up. Thank you. How many students are we talking about?
That's another good question for them.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to get off the hook here so they can get in because you're going to get the specifics behind me.
Representative Damon.
Rather than me giving approximations, I could give you an approximation.
Thank you. I just want a clarification on the 2 words special purpose. What that means. It seems like the bill reads, so where it says relative to a special purpose school district.
No, it's not a special purpose school district. It's a municipal village. They have their commissioners, but they also own their building, and they raise the monies to maintain and equip that building. But they're not a school district, so they can't go any further than that.
Follow up?
Yes.
So it does in fact say special purpose village district on line 2 of the first page, but on the front page it says special purpose school district, so that was my confusion.
Are you looking at which Roman numeral?
1.
So on the face page, where it says an act relative to a special purpose school district.
See, this act right here that you see, it's a combination of Exeter and others as well. So it's
No, not
one
that.
of those omnibus bills that we had as a house. Or you're looking in the bill right there. That would be a good question for them. when they come in.
Thank you.
Yep.
Seeing no further questions, thank you,
Thank you
Representative.
very much.
Is there Terry Murphy?
This was the, what I'm handing around is what was accomplished when we got the first bill through. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is Terry Murphy, and I enthusiastically support House Bill 349 bill. Supporting me in this process is Selectman Morris Jennings and Wesley Morrill. I'm a select board member from the town of Bridgewater, serving since 1977. I'm also commissioner on the Bridgewater Hebron Village District Commission since its inception in 1999. I was a faculty member at Plymouth State University for 45 years, and its outreach programs over 10 years assisted the Pemmy Baker School District for its financial and student management systems. In full disclosure, my spouse is Virginia Barry, former New Hampshire Commissioner of Education. The Bridgewater Hebron Village District is a separate political subdivision created by statute in 1997, and is comprised of the towns of Bridgewater and Hebron. The statute authorized both towns to build and operate the Bridgewater Hebron Village School. The 3 elected commissioners oversee the school facility and grounds. The village district continues to own debt-free the Bridgewater Hebron Village School building, surrounding athletic fields, furnishings, and you have a photo of it. It leases the school to the Newfound Area School District for $1 a year. Teachers, staff, curriculum management are provided by the Newfound Area School District. The school was built to alleviate overcrowding in SAU4, Newfound Area School District, at a multi-million-dollar cost to the Bridgewater and Hebron in 1999. Since then, Bridgewater and Hebron are responsible for maintenance, repair, and capital improvements. Bridgewater and Hebron students have been among the minority in the schools enrolled in the school. Children from other towns have always been welcome to attend, and do. This bill is designed to expand on our legal status as a village district and explore over a 4-year period the establishment of a 3-town special purpose school district. This is a multi-step process. The first step is to hold a vote in Bridgewater, Hebron, and Groton to determine if the citizens want to establish a K-8 SAU. Our vision is to improve educational outcomes for our children with an innovative alternative to traditional middle school. Our goal is to reconfigure the village school to a K-8. Studies have shown the fewer number of transitions children make before high school, the greater the improved student performance. In fact, all 7 towns in Pemmy Baker SAU 48 use the K-8 model. Hill, New Hampshire also formed a separate school district after withdrawing from Franklin School District. They operate their own elementary school and tuition into the Newfound Area School for grades 7 through 12. The Bridgewater Hebron Village School education performance has been consistently performing in the top 20 percentile in the state for math and English. Reconfiguring to a K-8 allows us to continue our proven high academic standards with a coherent curriculum, effective instruction, strong leadership, results-based accountability, and sound discipline through the 8th grade. It would allow more effective local control, better managed educational costs, and give parents an innovative alternative to traditional middle school. Today's parents are becoming more engaged in the educational outcomes for their children. There is a growing trend towards alternative education options, and in our local case, a trend towards a public K-8 model. Given this climate, the bill gives us the authority and the time to thoughtfully think this through. We would seek to stay closely aligned and work cooperatively with the Newfound Area School District to support quality education for the children. We would support space-based reciprocity agreements for grades K-8 by inviting students from other towns to attend. We would offer parents a choice between traditional middle school and a K-8 program. We would seek a cooperative relationship. This bill gives us an option to create our own district and to reconfigure to a K-8. We have 4 years to research and determine if this is the best choice for our towns. In the end, our voters will decide. House Bill 349 provides a narrow, singular fix that would realign us with the state's publication model. This bill is a turnkey solution, and our final education plan must be approved by the Board of Education. Finally, we as citizens have a responsibility to provide our children's public education. This bill provides that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from the committee? Yes, Representative Tanner.
Thank you, and thank you for taking my question. I just want to make clear that, does this create another SAU, a separate SAU?
Probably, yes. Ultimately, it's gonna merge. There's nothing really special purpose. That was a term that spun off from the original legislation. Ultimately, what we're doing is basically taking and going to the next step to be able to be more managed locally, that's all.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
I'm just, yeah. Derry Riddle, and if I could just ask, we have quite a few cards up here, so if you can limit your testimony to 3 minutes, we would really appreciate it.
I'll try, but I have a letter from Virginia Berry that is mainly what I'm going to read, and that is a little more than 3 minutes. So, but thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of House Bill 349. My name is Derry Riddle. I'm a resident of Hebron. I've been an elected commissioner of the Bridgewater-Hebron Village District since its inception about 25 years ago, where I've had the privilege of being part of the construction and management of the facility of our local Bridgewater-Hebron Village School. I was the first president of the parent-teacher community organization and volunteered in various capacities at this school, plus others throughout the Newfound Area School District. One of my sons attended the Bridgewater-Hebron School, and recently my grandsons have been students there, where they've thrived in a nurturing atmosphere supporting by caring teachers, staff, parents, and community members. I've been on numerous committees addressing public kindergarten, technology, the vision and mission of the school district, the greenhouse at our school, and the building and facilities needs of the Newfound Area schools. With your support of House Bill 349, we have a unique and exciting opportunity to create a positive K-8 learning environment for our local students. Now, Mr. Chairman, may I please use my remaining time to read into the record a letter from the former New Hampshire Education Commissioner, Virginia Berry, who is unable to attend today. Thank you. Dear Chairman Ladd, I strongly support the establishment of a special purpose school district as proposed by the towns of Bridgewater, Hebron, and Groton. As the former Commissioner of Education for the state of New Hampshire from 2009 to 2017, I had the pleasure of visiting many excellent schools in our state. New Hampshire has much to be proud of with its continued ranking in the nation's top 5 states for educational success. As Commissioner, I was often asked to explain our success to the public. Of course, we have many outstanding teachers and leaders committed to our children, families, and communities. However, there is another critical factor in our state's national achievements. The movement of school choice options available to children through bipartisan leadership has helped define our state as one that supports parent choice. New Hampshire is one of the only states that supports traditional public schools, public charter schools, public magnet schools, private schools, online academies, and homeschooling. All these choices are available to families to choose what is the best interest of their child's needs, family values, and sustainable communities. New Hampshire places great value on our small towns and their role in the stability critical to the economic health of our state. Our residents know that our governmental structure cares what they have to say. Bridgewater, Hebron, and Groton have demonstrated their deep devotion to quality education and the desire to have a school that reflects an understanding of the importance of family values in their schools, a sense of pride and conservation of small-town togetherness and daily life. The school these community members envision is another example of choice in our state, with a serious commitment to a sense of the future and everyday safety and fellowship so needed in our society. The perseverance is especially evident when in 1999, the communities of Bridgewater and Hebron joined to construct a modern school building open to all towns in the Newfound Area School District. The building was separate from their existing cooperative school district obligations, and since 2000, the towns leased the facility of the school district for $1 per year. The maintenance and building upgrade costs are the sole responsibility of the Bridgewater-Hebron Village District. Concurrently, the facility is open to many local agencies for community activities to support extracurricular sports and boys and girls community clubs. The school presently houses a pre-K, full-day kindergarten program, and first through fifth grades. Children from other towns in the cooperative school district constitute 55% of the Bridgewater-Hebron school enrollment. The proposed legislation will not impact other communities' enrollment if the K through 8 expansion is approved. Fiscal constraints in the SAU-4 prevent the adoption of this enhanced program configuration. Recent research on pre-K and K-8 school configuration has continued to grow, focusing on the importance of children's social, emotional needs in our current society. Intuitive leaders in our state might consider looking at the multiple benefits for K-8 students in the same school setting. The benefits include improved student social emotional skills, positive attitudes about self and others, connections to school and town, academic performance, and reduced conduct problems and emotional distress. A school with community support and a belief that citizens own the school with an intense commitment to success and a healthy mindset is the best we can offer our children. The proposal seeks to promote a community K-8 school to enhance learning and social emotional competence based on the three towns' choices to support these critical years of development. A K-8 school program has proven to improve academic performance and greater community involvement when parents' choice is acknowledged. In closing, this proposal supports the spirit of New Hampshire's history, encouraging choice, community connectedness, and success for all citizens. I urge the House Education Committee to consider this forward-thinking proposal. The potential outcomes of success for the students and recognition of the people's desire to protect and educate their children only strengthen our state. Thank you for this opportunity to share my thoughts on this worthy proposal. Despite the challenges facing our nation, I believe that New Hampshire will continue to lead the country in educational success and promote and safeguard our children and communities. Respectfully submitted, Virginia M. Berry, PhD. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, I'll take over, but I don't ask any questions or anything like that, seeing that, I presented the bill. Are there any questions from the committee? Representative Myler?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for being here and sharing Dr. Berry's comments. She was an outstanding Commissioner of Education. The concern that I have is I'm a little confused. I understand the movement of 5 to 8 or pre-K to 8 rather than pre-K to 5. Could you outline for the committee what is the current status, what it looks like, and as you deal with this proposal, how would it change? What would it look like differently?
Well, right now it's pre-K through 5, right. And it would be, I'm not sure, pre-K or K through 8. Of course, this has yet to be determined. Yes. There's going to be, if this is passed, then it will be looked at very carefully as to how it is exactly going to look going forward. I know that the facility, though, was built to house a K through 8 because I'm on that committee. And we kept that in mind when we were building that school, thinking that a K through 8 model would be great. Right now, a K through 8 is not something that the New Found Area School District is looking at doing. So that is one of the big reasons why we want to do that ourselves.
Follow up, please.
Yes.
I guess my concern is that I don't know from an administrative standpoint, how would it change? I understand that the children, the students who currently go 6 to 8, obviously go to another area. That I understand that, but I'm just what's the administrative piece look like with this proposal vis-a-vis what is the current administrative structure?
I don't know that I can necessarily answer that the best. I can tell you that it's yet to be determined exactly how that will look. The options the options are out there and it needs to be looked at. Right now, that school is under the SAU-4. So the superintendent of the entire school district looks after that school, and we have our own principal at Bridgewater Hebron Village School. But how that exactly will end up being is, as far as I know, yet to be determined, but others can answer that better than I can.
Very good. So I hope somebody can answer my question on that. Thank you very much.
Further questions? Representative Woodcock?
Thank you, Chairman Ladd. Good morning.
Good morning.
Just a couple follow-ups I had to Chairman Ladd. He said that someone would be helping. That would be you, I guess. Just how many youngsters in the K-5 system now in your building, and how many additional youngsters would be taken from 6 to 8 if you expand?
I don't have those numbers in front of me. I wish I could tell you that, but 147 are currently there,
Is
yes.
that K-5?
Okay, and the preschool.
And man? And so what? I'll read it that way. What would 6 to 8 look like?
40 more.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If anybody has written testimony too, we'll get more questions, but if you have written testimony, could you submit it to the clerk so we can make it part of the record?
Which is,
Are there further questions? Representative Tanner?
Thank you. I just was wondering, how many elementary schools are in the SAU 4?
currently there are 4, is that correct? Yes, including Bridgewater Hebron Village School.
Thank you.
We have the superintendent here, and we'll get that. Further questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Superintendent Pierre Kuchar? Welcome again.
Good morning, and thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm going to speak against the bill today. So I just want to first, Representative Ladd, and it's been mentioned a couple times that the village district is responsible for all of the maintenance of that building. That's not true. It's shared. The village district takes care of the larger items, like recently they put a new roof on the building, things like that. But we hire the custodial staff and we maintain it that way. We clean the building. It's a shared cost. It's not fully funded by the village district. So first, to speak to what is obvious to me about one of the troubling spots of this House bill is, to me, it looks like it's going to set a precedent and it's going to circumvent RSA 195, which we already have in place to allow towns to explore the possibility of withdrawal from cooperative districts. This was already done once in 2014 with Bridgewater and Hebron, and they followed the RSA 195, and it was determined at the end of the study to remain in the district. Bridgewater, Hebron, and Groton have been part of the Newfound Area School District for over 60 years. Collectively, they have about 15% of the students that attend our schools. People should remember that the cooperative district was formed to create efficiencies that all 7 towns and their students would benefit from, and to provide greater educational opportunities for their students. So this is clearly the point of cooperative districts across the whole state. Students from the small towns have much more to gain than students from the large towns, because they're able to attend schools in a larger setting, a larger high school, because they belong to the cooperative district that they would otherwise not benefit from. And with those larger schools comes greater programming. The students benefited tremendously by being part of Newfound. They've attended larger schools, they've been able to access academic programs, athletics, and co-curricular programs that they would not have been able to access if they weren't part of the cooperative district. These programs and efficiencies have been guaranteed if these 3 towns leave the Newfound School District, those students may lose that guarantee to have that access. When you're locked into a cooperative district, you have those guarantees. There is a risk here as Newfound Area School District is planning their future. We now have an architectural study and a building committee that are looking at 3 of our elementary schools that are aging and need either to be replaced or to be renovated. So as this would leave, if this bill was passed, it would leave that committee in a really difficult position. how do we plan going forward, not knowing if there's a 4-year process as described today for this group to study that. Personally, I'm frustrated that the House bill was written in isolation. It just appeared to us. It was never discussed or presented at a school board meeting. I attended several meetings throughout the summer on the funding formula with Mr. Murphy and Mr. Piper, who's here today, and neither of them mentioned it to me. And that is troubling that we could have been part of the process. Some of the things that have been shared as supporting documents for this House bill include negative comments about our middle school. Our middle school is doing great. I mean, that was a narrative that was in place in 2014. That's really old news. Our middle school has new leadership, and they're performing at or above the state average. The district has also made huge investments into that building, putting in a new state-of-the-art HVAC system and LED lighting recently. And we have a facilities committee that's continually looking at improving that facility. There was, in the supporting documents, it speaks about the fear of losing or change of funding formula within the district. That issue was resolved last year with a petition warrant article, which was modified to form a study committee. And we spent the summer, and some of these people behind me were on that committee, and it was found that we weren't going to change the funding formula. So I don't see that as a fear. Currently, there was a question about the enrollment. Currently at Bridgewater Hebron, we have on our books as 121 students. 44 of those students live in either Alexandria or Bristol. So if this House bill was to pass and Newfound Area School District could pull those students back into our own buildings, that would be a 35% decrease in enrollment and put you at about 77 students. Also, as part of our planning for our district moving forward, we've had an enrollment study by the New England Council of School Development, and they're predicting a 12% decrease in enrollment in the next 10 years. So based on those declining numbers, it's really hard to imagine that adding more grades to one of our smaller schools really makes sense. Let me see. That's all I have to say. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much, Superintendent. Are there any questions from the committee? Representative Tanner?
Thank you. Thank you for taking my question. So there's 4 elementary schools in the district, including the village school. If they all follow a lot of the same guidelines as far as curriculum and
We are all, yes, the 4 elementary schools use all the same curriculum and assessment tools. I mean, essentially, when it comes to instruction, they're essentially like one school.
and as a follow-up, and you hire all the employees for all 4 elementary schools at this point?
That's correct. Everybody that works in that building, from custodial staff all the way up through the teachers and administrator, are Newfound employees.
Thank you.
Representative Cordelli?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Superintendent, for being here. You talked about the projected enrollment decline. Do you have any idea what the high school capacity is right now in terms of space utilization?
At the high school,
Yeah.
it was built for about 500 students, and currently we have about 380.
Okay, thank you. Follow up?
Yes.
You talked about the 4-year window also. And I understand from previous testimony that if this 4-year planning period results in a new school district, they would be looking to tuition students back to Newfound or to Plymouth or some other place. Would Newfound be open with, especially with the declining enrollment and excess capacity, be looking to accept students from the new district as tuition students?
Well, that would be a school board decision, not my decision. I mean, I can tell you that there's a lot of frustration with the other towns about this House bill and, the feeling like, we're not good enough for them now, why would we accept them back type of thing. But that would be really up to the school board to decide. And in the matter of if it came down to 3 or 4 years, how would, it could be an entirely different school board at that point. But so it's really hard to tell, but it really puts us, the building committee, in a difficult position as we move forward and make plans, trying to decide whether Bridgewater, Hebron, and Groton are with Newfound or not.
Thank you.
Further questions from the committee, Representative Woodcock?
Thank you, Chairman Leonard. Good morning, Superintendent. Welcome. I have two questions that are distinctly different. Just at the onset of your discussion, you indicated, I think you said it was determined to stay, the conclusion one, it was determined to stay as part of the district. The study that was done, it was determined to stay as part of the district.
Right, that was in 2014.
Okay, my question is by whom?
They formed the committee, which is required by the RSA. And I think some of the people sitting behind me were part of that committee. I saw the documents in my
Okay,
office.
that's one. And may I do the second part?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Is the pay scale for the teachers and the 4 elementary school districts all the same?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Further questions, Representative Myler?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for being here. I'll ask you the administrative question. How do you see, from your perspective, the administration of this particular proposal vis-a-vis what is currently there?
Well, they would, so if they succeeded and formed their own district, they would need a principal, which they already, we already have, that we pay. We pay for $2.6 million every year for the budget for that school, Newfound does, for staffing it and maintaining it. So they would need a principal, and certainly one principal would be capable of a K-8. But as you know, the school would be required to have to acquire superintendent services. So they would either have to hire a full-time superintendent or find some other way to fulfill those services.
Follow up.
Yes.
Then other services that are currently provided by the SAU, would they continue to do that to this new entity?
Well, that would be up to the school board to decide that. That's not a guarantee.
Thank you.
Further questions from Representative Cornell?
Thank you. Thank you. Who makes up the school board? How is that divided up?
The school board has one representative from each of the 7 towns.
Further questions? Thank you very much. Have a good
Thank
day.
you.
Next person is, which way, is this the top meeting? Sorry. Excuse me. John Resigno.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is John Messino. I'm the chair of the Select Board of the Town of Groton. I'm here to speak enthusiastically about the bill today. With me is my fellow selectman, Tony Albert. We represent a town of 569 residents. Groton is a small, tight-knit rural community of roughly over 40 square miles and we're at the extreme northern end of the 7-town Newfound School District. We're situated between Rumney and Hebron, and just about equal distance from the 2 large school districts located in Bristol and Plymouth. We have 48 students enrolled in the Newfound School District K through 12. 22 of those students attend the exceptional K through 5 Bridgewater Hebron Village District School. The village school education performance is outstanding, ranked among the top in the state through K through 5. The teachers and staff are excellent and the kids thrive in that school. Parent involvement is high and across the entire system. Our kids and students love that school. I'm very excited about this bill and feel it will set our children up for continued success. As a father myself, I understand the importance of stability in the educational system. Establishing a 3-school district and reconfiguring it through K through 8 will create a more effective control over the school system, a stronger, tight link between the parents and the schools, less transition for the children, and expand the village school's successful proven educational model for an additional 3 years up to grade 8th. Our parents are becoming more involved in the education of our children. And as you know, there's a growing trend towards public education alternatives. In our case, the trend is the public K through 8 school. Smaller is also better. We're situated at the far end of the larger school district. Our kids spend several hours on the school bus each day as they drive past the village school on their way to the middle school. Establishing a 3-town school district and reconfiguring it through K through 8 will help alleviate that challenge for our children. I also support this bill because it gives us 4 years to thoroughly engage our citizens and thoughtfully think through the reconfiguration. I seriously take responsibility to provide the best public education for our children. This bill is unique, innovative, and an innovative opportunity to do just that. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Questions, Representative Petronell?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for taking my question. I'm not sure if you're the correct person to ask this, but I'm wondering what some of the benefits of K through 8 as opposed to K through 5 might be, because that seems to be a significant change from what the school is currently.
I think there's 2 things. One, the school is doing exceptional as far as the testing, so it enhances, it gives them another 3 years for just that. And also our children do spend several hours on the bus, because that only goes to grade 5, so it's 3 years that they're going to the middle school. It'll help them spend more time in the school, less time in the bus. And it also, there's less transition for the students, so they'll have more time with stability, being in that same school for an additional 3 years. So I think they'll greatly benefit from those things.
Further questions? Representative Tanner?
Thank you, and thank you for taking my question. I'm sure you've probably studied the financial part of this, but I'm wondering what it actually does to the tax rate in particular your town. Will it make a difference one way or the other, and also the increased costs for the administration?
Eric can speak better to that, but this is not about lowering taxes or anything. It's strictly about the education for those students and making sure that they succeed in life.
Further questions? Not seeing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd like to call Patrick Moriarty.
Well, thank you for having me, and I want to say I have great respect for the process here, and I'm interested in participating. I was on the 2014 study group, if that helps. I don't have that in my presentation, but I'm happy to answer questions. I'm here to represent the town of Hebron. I've been a select board member for 10 years. I have 2 other members with me in the back, Rich James on this side and Paul Hazelton here. The town of Hebron and the select board, we support this bill. Personally, myself, I want to state I grew up in a low-income household. My dad was a POW and a fully disabled veteran. I lived in public housing and attended public schools. So I'm a strong advocate for public schools and consider education provided critical to the success of the students, our state, and in the entire nation, in fact. My public school education got me a scholarship to Northeastern University, where I graduated with honors. And after military service, I completed a master's degree at Babson College. For the past 20 years, I've been a trustee for the Mayhew program. I hope you've heard of Mayhew. It's an important nonprofit. We serve disadvantaged youth in the state. Ours is actually a boys program. I'm now the treasurer of the Mayhew program, so I work on a daily basis on youth development in the state of New Hampshire. The people of Hebron are aware of this proposed legislation and are in favor. The people of Bridgewater and Hebron paid for the school and maintain it on an annual basis, and we have great pride in the school. It's an important part of the community. I'll stop for a second because you mentioned Groton, and I want to say Groton children, as you heard, attend our school, K to 5 now. They don't participate in the funding, and we don't ask them to for any funding. And I'll just tell you, we would never leave out the children of Groton. They will always be included. We share ambulance and fire service with Groton on a cooperative basis. I mean, they're our neighbors, our friends, and they are part of the equation here. The school is an important part of the community. As I said, it's also our emergency shelter, I think, which should be mentioned. Our police protect it. Our police do the safety checks. They run the bike safety program. We provide these services along with the athletic fields without any outside financial support. The townspeople understand this proposal to establish our own school district and reconfigure to K to 8 will require additional cost. This question's been asked a couple of times. What we've told our citizens is it will probably cost more money, but they still support it, and I think it will be important for education. We're fully intent to form a cooperative relationship with SAU4 for high school sports and activities. Our only goal is to improve public education for the children and more local control. I want to comment, and I heard what the superintendent said. He came and spoke to our select board, and I have great respect for everything they do at the SAU. But our SAU is almost 300 square miles. I believe it's the second largest in the state. And 7 towns. It's very difficult to manage, I think, as you heard the superintendent say, to move the children and balance classrooms and size and age. It's very difficult for them. I think this would help him do that. The far side of Groton, as you heard, is more than an hour's drive from the other schools in our district. Our 3 towns are north. On the north end, we border more Plymouth, Dorchester, Rumney, if you're familiar with central New Hampshire, than Bristol. And I bring up the example of Route 104, which runs from Danbury to Meredith, actually, and passes through virtually right through the other 4 towns in the district. So it's a state road, maintained. All the other schools actually sit on 104. And so the ability to move students, as the superintendent said, and they have a study group, and their approach, what he told us, is probably to consolidate an elementary school somewhere convenient in the district. And I just look at the geography for a minute and think that that 104 corridor is a perfect place for that, but we lay to the north of that and Groton farther to the north. So I think that this proposal will actually work well to make it stronger and better and less expensive. I just want to finally say our goal is to improve educational outcomes for the children. The bill allows for greater local forces on quality and establish the 3-town school district and reconfigure the K to 8, allows parents a choice between a traditional middle school and a K to 8 program. I hope you're in favor. I just want to say one thing. When you heard about the distance the students have to travel, I have to think about the parents who have to care for the kids after 2:30, after 3 o'clock, and the school is an hour away. That's one way. So 2-hour ride to provide for students or daycare or take care of them after school hours is difficult in our area. So thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Are there questions? Representative Tanner.
Thank you. Thank you for taking my question. I'm still kind of confused about the funding. Do you have a separate funding within the Bridgewater, Hebron district? Is there a separate tax for that particular school and an additional tax that you pay to the newfound cooperative district? Is that what's happening?
Yes, correct.
And how's that going to change?
Well, we'd be funding one school rather than contributing to a district. We'd continue to maintain the school, I think, but then we'd have to find access for high school, and we assume we'd pay tuition to the high school. Some may prefer Plymouth to the north. All the Plymouth School District, I should add, is K to 8, and each town has their own school board. So as you go further north, I think, and the area becomes more rural and travel is difficult, I just want to point out the district next to us in Plymouth already operates on a K to 8 model. So we would tuition students. I mean, our approach from the select board in the town is to work as cooperatively with SAU4 as we possibly can.
Go ahead.
So on transportation, do you pay for the transportation, or does the cooperative district Newfound have the contract with the buses?
Currently, they pay for it.
Okay, thank you.
But you think we're the furthest ones out, so we're probably the highest cost. The other towns lay conveniently, I think, right along 104, and I think their ability to move children would be a big advantage.
Further questions? Representative Damon?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have two unrelated questions. I believe you said you were on the 2014 study committee for a similar endeavor,
Yeah,
if that's correct. Could
similar is
you-
okay word, yeah.
Could you reflect on what is different now from then that brings something similar back before the townspeople and before us?
Well, that was unsuccessful. We'd like to be successful. We still would like to have we'd like to have the K to 8 model. I mean, I was on the committee. I learned a lot. I think it was flawed in some ways. The SAU wasn't cooperative. We tried to, for example, negotiate on a price for tuition in and out, and they told us they would not. I'm speaking honestly here, and Pierre was not part of it. They would not discuss tuitioning high school students. At that same time, they were in negotiation with Hill and completed a negotiation to bring the Hill students into their high school. So I felt that was disingenuous, to be honest, because they said, no, we're not going to talk about tuition. At the same time, they were holding meetings with Hill, and they have since moved the Hill students into the high school. So we were unsuccessful. As I said, we tried the process. That was a failure. I think if we tried it again, we'd probably be unsuccessful. The voting is balanced against us. There's 4 towns maybe on one side and 3 towns on the other. Groton did not participate in the prior 2014 study, so we basically were outvoted.
Thank you. Further questions?
I had another one.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Brain cramp now. I can't remember what the other one was. Oh, has this current effort talked with Plymouth about their receptiveness to tuition students?
I have not participated in that. I did in 2014, and they were receptive. They also, as the kids get older, whatever, they have excess capacity. As you heard, the superintendent says he has excess capacity in his high school. So, and I know the Hill students have a what I would consider a favorable tuition rate into Newfound. They pay less per student than we do as a town, for example. So I think Plymouth would be receptive to it. And for Groton students, and maybe Hebron, we're on the north side, that would be really important to students and parents.
Thank you very much.
Further questions? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Is Representative Carol Brown here? She's gone? Oh, okay, excuse me. He.
It is a he.
Thank you.
2 R's and 2 L's like Archie Bunker,
Yeah.
Carol O'Connor. Representative Carol Brown, Grafton District 10, so I have Bristol and Bridgewater in my district. Representative Sellers is also here in the back, who also has a number of these towns and more of his towns in his district. I hadn't prepared any statement, and I thought it would be worth my bringing your attention to something I think is part of this conversation. And for those constituents behind me who wish I weren't saying this, please talk to me later. I'm not speaking for or against this. I'm hoping to provide you just a little bit more information. I'm not disputing anything that's been said. There's been a lot of great things said. It's compelling testimony from the people behind me to move ahead with this. And I'm not disputing that in any way. One of the things I think that is important for the committee to understand here for completeness is, and this may go to your question, I'm sure someone behind me could correct that or dispute it. There has been an ongoing conversation in the school district about changing the funding formula for the district. It has been extremely contentious. It's been going on for a number of years. In the past year, there was a committee formed with representatives from each of the towns to have a conversation about this funding formula in the district. It was contentious enough to the point where there was yelling and swearing at a number of these meetings, or at least one. It's a big issue. There are those that believe the funding formulas will be changed, and I will ask if anyone else behind me they have much more specific information. If the funding formula, there are those who believe the funding formula should be changed to include more property valuation. And this is a very simple explanation of this. If that were to occur, the towns of Bridgewater and Hebron and Groton would pay a significantly larger amount into the school district than they are now. I'm a little disappointed that no one has said that. I do not dispute anything that's been said to this point. I think that for completeness for you all to know that is a piece of this. If you go downtown, if you go downtown in Bristol and have a cup of coffee and we talk about this topic, there's no question that that piece of the funding is going to come up, that this is part of the conversation. So and for those behind me, again, I have a number of people I know back here and a number of constituents that I don't know back here, and I'm sure I will after the end of this meeting, and that would be great. I thought it was important to bring that little piece to your attention. You did hear the superintendent, if you caught it, he did say that there were some funding discussions, and at this point, there was no plan to change that funding mechanism. And that was due to this committee that was formed over the past year. They sent out a report that said, this is what we discovered, and there was no decision to make a change to that. So I probably can't answer specific questions about the funding, but I thought it was an important piece of this puzzle for you all to know. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Representative Brown. Representative Cordelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative, for being here. In terms of the funding formula and the area agreement, the articles of agreement, it's my understanding that some articles of agreement for some co-ops include a provision so that if the funding formula is changed, it allows towns to withdraw. Do you know if there's anything provision like that in this SAU articles of agreement?
No, I don't know that. I'm sure that the select board member Murphy and or the superintendent have that answer at the tip of their tongue, but I don't know that personally.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions? Thank you very much. Jennifer LaRochelle?
Good morning. Members of the committee, thank you for listening today to testimony. My name is Jennifer LaRochelle, and I am here to testify in support of House Bill 349. I graduated from the University of New Hampshire with a BA in psychology, followed by a master's in reading and writing. I have a certificate of advanced graduate study from New England College in educational leadership, and I taught for 25 years in the Newfound Area School District. I am a Hebron resident, and my son attended the Bridgewater Hebron Village School. I'm here today to talk about children and families. In my years in the classroom, I've seen tremendous changes in children, families, and society. The impact that comes from those changes has affected our children in ways that are sometimes visible and sometimes not. Even prior to the pandemic, our children were struggling. The CDC reports from 2016 to 2020, 5.8 million students were diagnosed with anxiety, and 2.7 million were diagnosed with depression. Research suggests that the K-8 model helps to combat those struggles our children face. The passage of this bill is critical to our vision for our students. Think back. Acne, awkwardness, hormones. Sixth graders are vulnerable. Switching schools at sixth grade increases stress and anxiety.
Having served on transition teams from 5th to 6th grade, I can assure you there are students who believe older students will stuff them in lockers. It's a reality our children face. The K-8 model offers no such transition. Instead, children remain in a nurturing, familiar environment where they can continue to grow both academically and socially. Warranted or not, middle school does not have a great reputation, and it's often a reputation that keeps parents away. Parents are important to their children's education. Purdue University writes, when parents are involved, students get better grades and score higher on standardized tests. What's more, children of involved parents have better attendance records, drop out less often, have higher aspirations, and more positive attitudes toward school and homework. Fewer transitions for students and continued parental involvement indicate to me that the K-8 model is good for our children and our families. That same familiar, nurturing environment that supports our students supports our families. The Bridgewater Hebron School has a 20-year history of providing strong educational opportunities for students and strong parental community involvement. House Bill 349 grants us the opportunity to continue that tradition for our community and our families through 8th grade. I ask that you help us guide our students by supporting this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there questions? Yes, Representative Cordiello.
Hi, thank you for taking my question. Everyone keeps referring to this K-8 model, and it sounds like you've done a bit of research. I know that Catholic schools have predominantly follow that model, so I wonder if in your research you have read anything about that and the benefits, the benefits from that.
Because I do know that is their structure, but I did not come across any of that in my research.
Thank you. Further questions? Thank you very much. I'd like to invite Bill Ludi.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is Bill Ludi. I'm a retired career naval officer, and I'm now living in Hebron, and I too support this bill. I grew up right here in Concord, where my father was a teacher and running coach at Concord High School. I attended Bishop Brady High School here in Concord a very long time ago. Where for the past 5 years, I've served on the school's Academic Advisory Council and 2 years as chairman. I volunteer my time in our local drug community, drug prevention community with my town selectmen on education issues, and I'm a member of the state's Veterans Advisory Council. The Bridgewater Hebron Village District Commissioners asked their legal advisor for an opinion on whether HB 349 constitutes a lawful act of the legislature. And I've been asked by the commissioners who have spoken here today to read the brief letter into the record, Mr. Chairman, if that's appropriate. Okay, and I have 20 copies of the legal opinion here that I will make available to the members after this hearing. I'm not an attorney, so if you have questions, I'd be happy to collect them and ask the legal advisor to provide written answers. And this is from the Wadley, Starr, and Peters law firm in Manchester. Dear Mr. Murphy, you asked us to review House Bill 349, an act relative to special purpose school district for Bridgewater, Hebron, and Groton. And in particular, you have asked us to opine whether the bill constitutes a lawful act of the legislature. In our opinion, the answer is yes. And we reached that opinion for the following reasons. Number one, the legislature retains the authority over the formulation of public school districts. New Hampshire is not a home rule state. Moreover, while school districts are a separate corporate entity, they serve as a subdivision of the state. As a result, the legislature has exercised its authority over the span of its history to create school districts through enabling legislation. In the past 30 years, the legislature has self-regulated that authority to create and establish school districts by voluntarily subordinating its authority to local control. In other words, the legislature has passed enabling legislation, but has made the adoption of such subject to the will of the citizens in the local towns, cities, or school districts. For example, recently the legislature adopted a bill with regard to the Manchester School District, authorizing certain charter amendments and the establishment of further independence on the part of the school district. However, that legislation was contingent upon adoption by the local legislative body. This bill follows that model, and if passed, is a lawful exercise of the general court's legislative authority, but with due deference to the local decision of the voters. Number two, the bill repairs a unique flaw in the cooperative withdrawal statutes. In this case, the Bridgewater Hebron Village District owns the school attended by the students in the Bridgewater Hebron Groton area. This is a truly unique fact which deviates substantially from the norm. The adoption of this bill provides a pathway for the Bridgewater, Hebron, Groton towns to normalize the relationship with the village district and create their own district which more aligns with the fact that the ownership of the building in which the children are educated reposes within the local community. The general court is well aware of the challenges presented by the withdrawal provisions of a cooperative school districts. While one can argue on either side of the issue in regard to the correct manner in which to approach withdrawal, on these facts, there is little or no doubt that the local act of the legislature will provide an opportunity to cure a model which deviates from the norm. Number three, as a local act, this bill does not modify the general provisions pertaining to other cooperative school districts. At first blush, there may be reluctance on the part of some to adopt this bill due to the fact that it creates a more nuanced withdrawal process. However, this bill applies to a local situation where a separate municipality owns the building in which the children are educated. It is not capable of repetition and represents a truly unique set of facts. For the reasons set forth above, it is our opinion that this local legislation is consistent with the legislature's authority. Very truly yours, Dean B. Eggert. And I have copies here that I can
Thank you.
provide. Yeah.
Are there questions from the committee to Mr. Ludi?
Good, I'm not a lawyer.
Well, just pass it
I'm just a
around.
retired naval officer.
Thank you very much. Tom Curran?
Thank you for hearing my testimony. Honorable members of the committee and fellow citizens, thank you for this opportunity today. My name is Thomas Curran. I'm a resident of Bridgewater, New Hampshire, and wish to testify enthusiastically in support of House Bill 349, an act to support a special purpose school district for Bridgewater, Hebron, and Groton. In 1972, I began working as a guidance professional assigned by the Dartmouth-Hitchcock Mental Health Center to work with parents and children in the Mascoma School District. Later, I went on to become the family treatment specialist at Spalding Youth Center in Tilton. In those roles, I work extensively in schools and homes with parents of special needs children, particularly those with behavioral challenges. Later, I was appointed as vice president of the Crotchet Mountain Foundation, where my responsibilities included admissions and discharge planning for students and their families in scores of districts throughout the state and the New England region. I was on the road about 50,000 miles a year, visiting districts and parents. I held that position for 8 years, after which I was asked to join the board of the trustees of that organization. I've lived in the Newfound region since 1975, and my daughter graduated from the regional district high school. In the late 1990s, I was elected to serve as a member of the Bridgewater Board of Selectmen that worked to create, gain approval, and fund the Hebron-Bridgewater Village School District. So I was in at the ground floor of this effort. My support of HB 349 stems from my experience as a parent and educator, a selectman, and most recently as a town moderator. As an education professional, I became aware of a number of difficulties confronting children throughout the state. The first were the challenges involved in unreasonably lengthy commutes that came to be measured in hours spent by children in school buses. Many of the behavioral problems we frankly learned had their initiative or started on buses. That's a part of the children's lives that's unmonitored and sometimes open season for the younger kids. Additionally, as a parent from a developmental standpoint, I was concerned about exposing elementary age children to troubling teenage social and behavioral patterns, the sort of burdens and dynamics that the youngsters are ill-prepared to handle. The mix there, the difference between a 6th grader and a 9th grader is enormous developmentally. The younger kids don't have the impulse control, don't have the capacity to resist temptation, think out the consequences of behaviors. And a lot of those kids at that age end up heading for the rocks and never getting off them. When I wrote the town history, finally as an elected official, I've heard repeated expressions of frustration on the part of citizens who felt a lack of connection with far-flung school districts. When I wrote the town history of Bridgewater in 1987, old-timers spoke of the deep sense of loss that occurred when local children were removed from the town. General sense of loss of control of the schools on the part of the small towns that are de facto outvoted by the large towns is a source of a lot of frustration, or was. In my estimation, a basic duty of rural education is to assure that the legitimate organizational needs of large districts do not override the core mission of providing a nurturing love of learning in children at the local human level. It was for that reason, including the prospect of increased volunteer involvement in the local school district, that we put forth the effort to create the Hebron-Bridgewater Village District more than 2 decades ago. The results in the ensuing years, I believe, have proven out the hoped-for strengths of this logical and local approach. Children, parents, and educators have consistently expressed their satisfaction and their pride in this model, and test scores have borne this out over the years. Focusing developmentally on the needs of younger children is a major strength of the K-8 elementary model. The Village District is a sensible, tradition-based innovation that we feel has amply earned the support of this enabling legislation. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Are there questions? Representative Damon?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for taking my question. I think you've answered a question that I've been thinking through here. It's not that there would be fewer transitions for the students, but that the timing of the transition would be more developmentally appropriate.
That's right.
Is that correct?
That's right. And the surroundings would be familiar. They're going through so many hormonal changes anyway, having the same physical space and the same human connections of the counseling role of a teacher is really important.
Further questions from the committee? Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
For the committee, we have about 14 more minutes of testimony, and then we're done these cards, so we can wrap that up right now. Eric Piper?
Hey, thank
Good
you
morning,
for
Eric.
having me this morning. I appreciate it. My name is Eric Piper, and I'm the elected Budget Committee representative from Bridgewater for the SAU4. I've completed 4 budget cycles on the committee. I have 2 years remaining on my current term. In my professional life, I have a master's in finance, and I've spent the last 30 years in budgeting and profit center management for Fortune 500 companies. I support this bill because I believe it brings some innovative educational options to the entire Newfound area, and it can do so in a real cost-effective manner. Considering the creation of a new school district presents overall revenue opportunities for the Newfound district, the SAU4, and as outlined in the bill, if the district is willing to enter into a fair tuition and administrative service agreement, it will have the benefit of a revenue stream for ongoing capital projects. And something that we haven't discussed today is we believe that we will have the capacity, particularly if we add an additional 4 classrooms, for K through 8 reciprocity. So we would bring innovative schooling options to the entire region as opposed to just the 3 towns. The current student count of Bridgewater, Hebron, Groton is roughly 15% of the overall SAU, as was previously mentioned. Our corresponding budget contribution is about 16% of the total budget. When I run the numbers and I estimate the reduction in the elementary and middle school expenses coupled with potential SAU4 gains in tuition and administrative service revenue, there'd be little to no fiscal impact to the current district. The bill should also not adversely affect district jobs or teachers. If anything, this bill should create jobs, not reduce them. An expanded Bridgewater Hebron Groton School will need to hire several additional teachers for the 6th through 8th grades. The legislation also contains a provision offering current teachers and staff a transfer of pay, benefits, and pension. Again, tuition and service contracts should support the current staffing levels at SAU4. I envision that one of those tuition agreements would also provide for sports and extracurricular activities, specifically for the grades 6 through 8, which is a critical component of modern education. Establishing our own school district and reconfiguring the K through 8 will come at a cost, a startup cost for us. We anticipate the construction of additional classrooms for K through 8, hiring teachers, support staff, and of course, the cost of the tuition agreements and the administration and extracurricular agreements. These all come with the attendant startup costs, which we're well aware of. The infrastructure for providing the local elementary education is already in place. We own the building, the athletic fields, and fortuitously we plan for additional future expansion. So we'll simply shift those operational costs. There are many components to running a school district. We've operated and maintained our school probably about 90% of the ongoing costs for 22 years. Many of our citizens have been involved at multiple levels in the school district, from school board and budget committee members to teachers and staff. You've heard some of them today, including a former New Hampshire Commissioner of Education. We have a very deep pool of resources and experience to draw from. We'd seek to outsource functions that would require special expertise or need economies of scale. The overall intent of the bill is to provide the same or expanded opportunities with tuition agreements with a larger district if required. This process needs to be thoughtful and considered. That's why the bill contains a 4-year planning and review provision. We don't have all the answers right now. We'd like to explore them. In the end, the voters will decide. Again, our situation's unique. No other town has a similar structure. We're dealing with a set of circumstances where the students of Bridgewater, Hebron, and Groton will be educated in a school that's already owned by 2 of our towns. Finally, this bill will increase educational opportunities for parents in the entire area and ensure elementary and middle school education that is local and locally controlled. Overall, it allows for a greater focus on educational outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there questions for Mr. Piper? Not seeing,
right.
thank you. Tracy Steenbergen?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Tracy Steenbergen, and I have always lived in Hebron. I have been involved in Hebron's town government for 32 years as town treasurer, the town's bookkeeper, and now as town clerk. More importantly, I'm here today not as a town official, but as a grandmother helping to raise her 9-year-old grandson. My grandson Benjamin came to live with my husband and me in April of 2022. Ben's mother, my son's former partner, was experiencing a family crisis. Due to the shortage of affordable housing, Ben's mother has been unable to locate permanent housing. My husband and I offered to have Ben live with us. Ben attended summer school at the Bridgewater Hebron Village School last July and August and was enrolled in 3rd grade there at the beginning of the school year. Ben has some learning disabilities, particularly reading, and has been diagnosed with autism. Before he came to live with us, Ben was enrolled in a larger school district in the southern part of the state and had never been in a mainstream classroom. At the Bridgewater Hebron Village School, Ben is in a 3rd grade classroom with his peers and is thriving in the small classroom setting. In large classroom situations, Ben is overwhelmed and confused by all the stimulation. Ben would benefit enormously by being able to remain in a small classroom setting for as long as he possibly can. He has gained a strong awareness of school community and the feeling of belonging being at the Bridgewater Hebron Village School. In fact, he received a Growth Mindset Award last fall and was so proud when he brought that award home to show everyone. The adage, "it takes a village to raise a child," is true. The small school village environment within the Bridgewater Hebron Village District has helped Benjamin by providing him with the education he needs in a warm, nurturing, and village environment. I ask the committee to help Benjamin and others to continue to grow emotionally and academically in this small setting for as long as they can by allowing Bridgewater, Hebron, and Groton to form our own school district and reconfigure our schools to a K-8 model. Thank you to the committee for listening to my testimony, for conducting this hearing, and considering Bridgewater, Hebron, and Groton's request.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there any questions? Thank you very much. Grandparent to grandparent who has a child in the house, good luck.
Yeah, it's taken a lot of, I'm getting up and getting him on the school bus in the morning.
I do that every day.
Yeah.
Sarah Smith?
Good morning, or almost afternoon. My name is Sarah Smith. I'm a Groton resident. I work for the town of Groton, but more importantly, I'm here to speak as a parent. I fully support House Bill 349. My son Caleb attended Bridgewater Hebron Village School, Newfound Memorial Middle School, and Newfound Regional High School. He actually graduated in 2022. Prior to attending the Newfound Area School District, my son attended a school about 45 minutes south of there, and he was there for the elementary school. We were very happy with the elementary school, but the middle school and high school were having issues receiving accreditation. So as a parent wanting my child to receive the best education he can, this was a huge concern for me. Life happened. We found ourselves in Groton, New Hampshire. I transferred Caleb out of his current elementary school into Bridgewater Hebron Village School. As with any transfer, we had concerns. Concerns about the education he would receive, how the teachers would be, making new friends, and the support that he would receive. It didn't take long at Bridgewater Hebron School to relieve us of these concerns, especially the concern about him receiving the best education he can. This is where Caleb received a great education, where he felt the most comfortable, where he made some of his best friends, and felt the most supported by the incredible teachers and staff. One of the main reasons I support this bill, as I did with Caleb, I want all students to receive a better education. I feel Caleb would have benefited even more from staying in the Bridgewater Hebron School District a little longer. K-8 models have been proven to be beneficial and have many advantages. Currently, our students leave the Bridgewater Hebron School after 5th grade and go to the middle school. A K-8 model would eliminate the transition and allow them to stay where they're more comfortable for a few more years. The age that they attend middle school is awkward time for these kids. Physically, mentally, and emotionally, they're going through so many changes. When they leave Bridgewater Hebron School, they're transitioning from being the older students at the school to then again becoming the younger students at the middle school. All of this can be very tough on kids and can lead to challenges while they're in the middle school. We live in a rural community, and Bridgewater Hebron Village School is closer to our town than the middle school and high school is. Our Groton students are on the bus for about an hour to the middle school and even longer to the high school. This is too long, especially grades K-8, to be on a bus. Creating a K-8 model would eliminate the extra time on the bus. Then when they're older and can handle the bus a little bit longer, then that would be more suitable for them. I also feel Caleb would have benefited from being able to choose which high school he attended. There are high schools that are actually closer to Groton. In high school, our kids get their licenses, which is a very scary time for us parents. Where we live, also weather's a very concern. We have a lot of snow and icy situations. If we were able to choose a high school that he attended, he would have been able to choose one closer to him with less travel time, save on gas money, and less worrying during the bad weather. He also didn't play sports, but he jumped into the workforce quickly. He would have traveled right from school to work each day. If he could have chosen a high school close to where he works, it would have been more convenient and saved money on travel as well. I no longer have children in the school district, but I am still advocating for all of the other children. We had an amazing experience at Bridgewater Hebron Village School, and I wish the K-8 model was in effect when Caleb was in school. Thank you for listening, and I respectfully urge you to pass this bill so all of our students can receive the best education that they deserve.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the committee? Thank you.
Thank you.
Deborah House? Is she here? Yes, yeah.
Good morning, Chairman Ladd and members of the committee. I will be brief, as much of what I said was said earlier by the superintendent, but I am here to speak against HB 349. As you may not be aware, AFT New Hampshire represents the Newfound Teachers Union. They're part of our federation. So I've heard some concerns, and because of that, I would like to speak against this. I must say, though, I've been impressed by all of the passion I've heard from the supporters of this bill. And I think their involvement in their education and the zeal they have for seeing the right thing done for their students in their school is commendable. I just am not sure that creating a new process to essentially undo a cooperative school district, a regional school district, is the right way to go about it. That's where my disagreement with this is. There already is a process, it was referred to earlier, RSA 195, to withdraw from a regional school district. I do appreciate that, there was a 4-year timeline talked about. It's not thoroughly described in this bill. It was more thoroughly described in your presentation, but it does talk about a vote that would start next month on starting this whole process. And then the certificate of withdrawal will be issued in about a year, if the 3 towns approve. I have members of the Newfound Teachers Union who are also not just employees of the district, but also parents and taxpayers of towns in the district who are just hearing about this. So, they could be asked to vote on it in a month, things that will significantly change their work life. And also, if they're parents, change things about their students' school starting, possibly as soon as next year. So it's a concern. What is this going to look like? And the concerns they have that they don't have the answers to. And again, some of the people here gave wonderful answers of where they would like to go, but that discussion has not been as fully gone through to members of the community as it needs to, because the questions are still out there. What's going to happen to the students, particularly the students in grades 5 through 8? in these three towns. That was a question that I had relayed to me that is a big concern. So I hear talk of, well, we can tuition them into the newfound area district once we are declared withdrawn from it, if the three towns pass this on March 23rd. Well, that's presupposing that a tuition agreement can be reached and that, everything will work out, and it probably will. I mean, good intentions on everyone's part, but it's a very unsettling feeling if you don't know where your student's going to school in a year, and that was your plan and your choice and where you wanted them to go. The other question is what's going to happen to the staff. They are employees of the newfound area school district. They are not employees of the village school. I appreciate that it says that the new district will seek to offer employment opportunities. The collective bargaining agreement is with the current regional school district, so there would be a whole process there. And that's going to get into some questions of making sure that everything is done to make sure the employees retain their current pay and benefits and are made whole. We have grave concerns about that. We also know that a school is more than just a building. It's a community of all the people who work there and all the students who go there. So if you are not holding on to the employees because maybe they don't want to work for this new entity for whatever reason, then what happens? Just imagine that your student, you have a child who had a great second grade teacher. So they went into second grade and this teacher was a perfect fit. Spark that joy of learning, ease that anxiety about being in school. It went from, the student went from being kind of, math is hard, to being, I love math, I want to do multiplication, I'm excited to go to school every day. Marvelous. Now we've got this huge change and Mrs. So-and-so isn't there and your 4-year-old isn't going to have the chance to have Mrs. So-and-so when she gets into school. This is a big change. It's being made really fast, and we're inventing a new process to do it. For those reasons, I've got to speak against this bill.
Thank you very much. Are there questions from the committee? Representative Woodcock?
Thank you. I'm waiting for someone that may have the information, which I forgot to ask before, so hopefully have it. Can you tell me what the average class size is at the current K-5 school?
At the current K-5 school, I would have to ask, so I don't have that information.
Okay.
At my fingertips, I would have to ask. I apologize.
Okay.
But average class size, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further questions? Yes, Representative Dry?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for taking my question. We heard a lot about the bus ride. How would they solve that problem if this doesn't go through?
How would I solve that problem?
Not you.
I was going to say, that's the superintendent's job.
How might that be solved?
How might that be solved? Yeah. That is a great question, and I do not have a solution off the top of my head. Again, I think this is a commendable effort behind what they want to do, but I also think the process they're doing hasn't involved the whole regional school district community, which is what you need to do to withdraw from a regional school district. You have to involve all of the players, because they are all one school community at this point. So I really think creating a law because you couldn't get it done through the other process isn't really what we normally do, is it?
Thank you very much. Further questions? Thank you. I have one card left. It's right here. Aubrey Friedman. Aubrey, you put down more than the 3 or 4 minutes. Thank you. Thank you. That's appreciated.
Anyway, so I'll just, you said 3 minutes. I'll try to stick to 3 points.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, committee members, Aubrey Friedman, Bridgewater, I speak in support of this bill. First, I just want to preface by saying when I come to the State House to testify for or against a bill, I don't just do it for my personal benefit or, you know, how's this going to, I think about the principles and the bigger picture. But in this case, I do live in Bridgewater, so you might think, well, he's got like a vested interest, and I do. But my reasons for supporting this bill are still my lofty ones, the principles of, and the big thing advantage of this bill, it's an opt-out for these 3 towns. And they are stuck in this big sprawling co-op district, and they will not be able to get out through this current process because it's so obvious. And I have friends who are in the other towns, the 4 other towns, and I hear that. They're never going to, you just get outvoted. So that's why they went this route. But the more important thing is this is options for not only the families in the 3 towns, but the other 4 towns, because I think that how this is going to work out, because the Bridgewater Hebron has got room for other students. So there's going to be tuitioning in and out of all these schools. There also might be parents who are, they're happy with the middle school. Somebody in the Bridgewater Hebron, their kid does well in the middle school right now. So they might want to choose that. So I think there's going to be enough flexibility here, especially with declining enrollment. You're going to want to get all the kids you want, that I think there'll be more options for all the parents, but of course, mainly for the 3 towns that are really different from the other 4. So this expands options. As for K through 8 versus traditional, there's a whole body of literature out there as to the advantages or disadvantages. I say let the parents choose, and I think some parents might just be very happy with the middle school as is, and they'd rather have their kids go there. Let them choose. This way, I really think with the tuitioning in and out, there'll just be more options for everybody. So I think that's the main advantage of this bill. And to be able to, you can't get this, believe me, I go to the school board meetings and I know how this SAU4 works. It's a big bureaucracy, and the spending is out of control, and the proficiencies are not good at all. And by the way, I also wanted to add, they're not all that great at the Bridgewater Hebron School. But if you compare, there's 4 elementary schools, and I'm big on scores and proficiencies and everything. Really, the Bridgewater Hebron does have better proficiency results. So they're doing something right there, and maybe it's the involvement of the parents. I'm not sure what it is that causes that school to look better, but it does. So they're onto something good, and if they want to try a K through 8 and do tuitioning in and out here and there, I think it's better for everybody. So the only thing I wanted to add, just I wish this bill could have been for all other towns, but I was told, because it's a very specific, because 2 of the towns own that one school, it's a unique, it has to be written very specific. I wish they could have done this to all towns in New Hampshire that are stuck in big school districts that don't really work for their families. So I support the bill, and that's it.
Thank you, Albert.
Thank you.
Any questions from the committee? Yes, Representative Cascadden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for taking my questions. I'm just looking for a little clarification. There's a lot of emotion in such an event like this in the communities. Can you just, I think you touched on it a little bit in your testimony, but can you clarify for me why the current 195-26, the withdrawal process that's on the statute, in the statutes, does not work in this instance?
Well, the 7 towns are going to have to, if the 3, somebody wants to get out of this school district, the 7 towns are going to vote. You got the heavier populated on the other 4 towns, and there's already tons of animosity about the tax rates and all that. It's never going to happen, and that's why they did this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, Representative Woodcock?
No, thank you. This is perhaps for you as the person that submitted the bill, and I know you're going to adjourn at the last speaker, so I want to be able to get the question and maybe answered. I thought I was reading this bill that just the intent of the bill was to allow the school district to separate and create their own new school district. But am I missing that? Does it say that it has to be K-8 I thought I was understanding this was a K, it doesn't say they can't go to K-8, but as it's read, it's just a K-5 school district, is that correct?
It's a K-5 right now, and the intent, and I think down the road, because you could go K-6,
Okay.
not, usually don't go K-7. I had K-8s
Right.
back in Rumford, Maine, and West Peru, and the K-8 sent the kids to Rumford High School, and of which, out of the top 10 graduates each year, 3 of those came from the small K through 8 in West Peru, Maine.
I'm
So
not
that's
suggesting,
the
I'm not suggesting it's
rationale. I
bad.
think
representative.
not the rationale, but it's, I think the intent of this bill is to move towards K-8.
Okay, but the bill itself is just K-5 separation.
No.
Up to K-12? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's what, thank you.
We will be, of course, working on this, and we can look at the fine print in the bill. Further questions? Thank you very much. And that does conclude this hearing. Thank you all for coming today and working with the committee.